Hello everyone, how you doing? You're very welcome to this week's Rugby View with myself, Aidan Raftery, and of course, as always, from Craig's Rugby Club, we have Adrian Leddy. Hello Adrian, how are you? Are you well?
Good afternoon, Aidan. All good, yeah.
That's good, that's good. And yeah, we'll start off as we always do, and we'll work up to the first team. We'll start off as always with the mini rugby. Any blitzes going on over the weekend, or what's the activity there with the mini rugby section?
Yeah, we had a fantastic blitz last weekend, run by Connacht, and a lot of our own coaches were involved as well. We had a huge entry from clubs around the province. Some clubs had two teams there, so it was full on. Great credit to Shane Fleming. And all his coaches and all his helpers and the backup team of his own wife and other ladies that helped out in making sure that all the young lads were well fed and all afterwards. So the conditions were absolutely great for it. Maybe a bit wet underfoot, but talking to the coaches and the youngsters afterwards, they really enjoyed the afternoon in Craig's, and it's great to be able to facilitate a large blitz, even when conditions aren't great, that we were able to play some of them on the grass pitches as well. So now the whole mini rugby situation is that there's still a few blitzes to go, and they assemble in Craig's, and any of the teams is not involved at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. So it will be soon winding down. Aidan is right. Yeah, they'll be coming to the end of the season, but it has been a great season for all the mini rugby players.
That's it. And moving to the rest of the underage there, mixed fortunes, I suppose, at under 14 level. The girls shared the spoils, and unfortunately, the boys were defeated at the 14 level.
Yeah, the girls drew the game, and I suppose the situation with the first try rule, the game went to Westport, and again the underage had a great win. The under 13 boys down against Westport away. They drew in the first game, and then had a great win. So it's all the girls had a fantastic win as well. And our under 18s was supposed to play the final this weekend, and unfortunately, Joe Mukhtarard had to pull out. I think there's mock exams going on, and they weren't able to field the team this weekend. So that game now has to be postponed. We have a number of girls involved with the training with the under 18 international team at the present time. So it means that we were going to go ahead with the game and minus them players and give an opportunity to other players in the panel. But as I said, Joe Mukhtarard decided otherwise this weekend.
That's it. And so, like, mixed fortune at under age. But I suppose, at adult level, it's been quite a successful year. Obviously, the seconds won a trophy, as did the first team. Obviously, the won the League Cup. Not the result, like I said off air. Not the result we were looking for. Heartbreak. But played a really great game throughout, and looked like winning it. But I suppose the last minute converted try dashed their hopes. It's a shame, really, after such a great season. It would have been a great way to finish it off, but not to be downhearted. It's still great to come away with two titles this season.
Absolutely, and yeah, it was a tremendous occasion in the sports ground last Sunday. We had fantastic support from the Craig's catchment area at the game. Like, there was roughly about 1,000 people went through the gate for the game. It was ideal conditions. Played on the 4G pitch in the sports ground. Craigs were slow to start to get into the game. Westport went ahead, got by 7, and Craigs came back into the game, got another try, and then went on to put on more pressure on Westport and looked to be maybe getting on top of them. But unfortunately, that Craigs didn't get in the set pieces. They were struggling both in the scrums and in the lineouts, and we didn't get any clean possession for our backs to work off. And Shane Dowd failed the fitness test on Friday evening, so he was a big loss to the Craig side in the centre, because Shane has special class of speed and would have probably opened up the Westport defence. But again, all credit to all the players that stuck into it. Coming up to injury time at the end of the game, we thought we had it in the bag with the great try and conversion from the kickoff. We dealt with it, and then we decided to run the ball, and we lost it. And Westport put on a lot of pressure at that stage and went over for the winning try, and that he evened the game. But as the try was scored under the post, it left an easy conversion for Westport to win by 2 points. So that was well into injury time. I would say that was about 5 minutes into injury time when that try and conversion was made. So heartbreak for all the young lads. They're a very young team. They have been very successful all season. They hadn't lost a game in the league or cup up until that. So, as I say, as you said yourself, Aidan, it has been a very successful year for the club, with the first team winning the Junior League Cup, and our second team winning the Junior 1C Cup as well. So it's overall, it has been a very successful season, and all credit to all the players, to the coaches, management, for getting the team to the 3 finals and coming away with 2 cups from it.
That's it. And look, I know, whereas they lost on Sunday, obviously they would have loved to have won it, but still, I suppose there is that positive of still having a few 2 titles at adult level, which is positive. But I suppose, looking over the match itself, what are the positives? They would have learned a lot from that game, wouldn't they?
Yes, yeah, I would hope so. We definitely have to before Saturday to sort out our set pieces, as I say, of our lineouts and our scrums, which were functioning well all season. Came unstuck at the wrong time last Sunday. So this week we have to dust ourselves off, get back on the horses, to say. We're up in Coolmine. There are 2 semi-finals for promotion into the AIL. We're drawn against the Munster champions, Highfield, at 3:00 in Coolmine on Saturday. The other semi-final goes ahead before ours, between the Leinster champions, Bective, and the Ulster champions, Clogher Valley. So, it's it'll be a great occasion again for Craigs, and it will test ourselves against the best in junior clubs within Ireland. So, Highfield would be known to us. We would have featured Highfield was in the same division as us when we were in the AIL before. So, a good club, a great junior club in Limerick, on the outskirts of Limerick, and they're a very hard working club, and would be much the same as Craig's. A lot of players will come from the rural areas into Limerick, and that they're playing with them as well. So all to look forward to this Saturday in Coolmine.
And I suppose really it's timely as well that it's on this weekend because, you know, with the having lost last Sunday, it means that the lads can't dwell on the game that they lost last Sunday, because they have to prepare for the this weekend's game, which is kind of good. Their focus just switches from the loss of one to focus on the next minute match, which is, I suppose, after a loss like that, you kind of need that, and you know they know that they have something positive to play for, and you know, if they could win this weekend, wouldn't that be a great achievement to get into the AIL?
Well, you know, talking to the players on Sunday night after the game, they were very disappointed, very dejected. They knew that they hadn't performed to anywhere near the levels that they needed to perform, or anywhere near the levels that they performed in the Junior League final against Connemara. So if they had, they would have won the game. So it would be a pity. It would be a pity to have gone out on that note. And as you rightly say, it's great that they now have an occasion in the All Ireland playoff situation to go out there and to give it their best shot, and you know, to just see what their level are against a team like Richmond. So it'll be an interesting game. We played in it before. We played in the All Ireland Cup. Clare Valley beat us in the All Ireland Cup. So we do know what the standard of rugby is in other provinces, and we also know from playing the junior interpros that we're, like last year we had about 8 players from Craig's on it. A lot of these players from these provinces are in the top junior clubs in their provinces.
That's it. And moving on to, I suppose, matters in Athlone. Unfortunately, you know, look, for the Rossi schools in the cup finals, obviously, Athlone Community College came away with nothing against St. Joseph's. That was unfortunate, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's just St. Joseph seemed to be a better side on the day. I think that, you know, it was reversed in the league, and when it comes to cup, it's amazing that some teams can perform and lift their game a lot more in the cup, and that's what happened. That they at the Rye outfit were better on the day.
That's it. And moving on to Buccaneers. What's the latest from Buccaneers?
Yeah, the Buccaneers seem to have lost their way, as I was saying in last week. They again had a heavy defeat last weekend against Highfield from Cork in the IL. Their first team now are up against it. They're lying third in the division, so they have lost their top 2 position at the moment. So they wouldn't want to slip any more. You know, in saying that, they are missing a number of players through injury, and also that some of the Connacht Academy players were not available to them last Saturday. So they want to get their team together, because Armagh, Old Belvedere are going away with the league, and they're as I said, in third position. So they want to make sure that they end up in the top 4. So they have an important game now away to Old Wesley. They hope to maybe have some of the injured players back and some of the Connacht players. So hopefully that they will get a result in Donnybrook against Old Wesley.
That would be a great achievement for them, and of course we all know the level of the high level of coaching that goes on that they have at Buccaneers as well. And moving on to Carrick Rugby Club, unfortunately a depleted Carrick were defeated in the league playoff. That's unfortunate given the quality of the players they have. But I suppose, look, that just goes to show you the nature of sport, doesn't it? Like, I mean, it can be cruel and it can be brilliant.
Absolutely. The game had to be switched at short notice to Craig's last Sunday. The Larray pitch wasn't playable, and Larray, all credit to them, agreed that they would go to a neutral venue and play the game in Craig's, and we were delighted to be able to host this promotional game. As you rightly said, it didn't go Carrick and Shannon's way, but they gave it a good shot, and they're a team when they have all their players, and they need to have all their players to be playing at that level. And when you're missing some key players, it makes a big difference to a team like Carrick when you come up against a team in a higher division, as Lavray were for Carrick to get promotion. So, Carrick had a good season. They got into the final of the league against Ballinasloe, lost out narrowly to Ballinasloe, and then they were involved in the playoffs. So, overall, it has been a good season for Carrick, and they're still in a number of, that's the end of the season for their seniors, but they still have a number of youth teams still in contention within the cup as well. So hopefully that they'll get some reward at youth level.
And finally, in the AL, we go to Sligo Rugby Club.
Yeah, Sligo never ceases to amaze us. They made the long journey up to Derry to play Reaney Old Boys last Saturday and came away with a great result. And they currently lie sixth in the table, and they're only 3 points off the playoff. So, that shows that the Sligo is there or thereabouts. They're away this weekend against Malahide, and if they got a result away to Malahide, it may put them into the top four for the top four playoffs. So, again, it's all to play for Sligo. And Sligo, again, are involved in a lot of underage games and youth games at both boys and girls within the club as well. So they will be in a number of Connacht finals in youth. And, with the success of the grammar school this year, winning the senior schools, and also with Summerhill and the regional college, there's a lot of players there in with Sligo, and they have strength and depth. So I can see Sligo winning a number of trophies in that there this season.
That's it. And just before we go on to the Women's Six Nations, I suppose we'll have a look at the 4 provinces and how they got on in the URC at the weekend, and this what's coming up this weekend for them.
Yeah, it was a great result for Connacht. It was a great atmosphere in the sports ground last Saturday afternoon. It was a great occasion. They were playing Edinburgh. The standard of rugby was very high. They were missing the international players, but some other players stood out. You had Shane Jingles come on as a sub there, a young lad that played with Garbally, played with Ballinasloe. He came on the wing, and he definitely didn't let the side down. And it's great to see young players like that coming through the system. Keelan Blade from Monterey had an outstanding game in getting a hat trick for Connacht. He had, he definitely put his hand up again for the international team, and he could become one of the 3 scrum halves that Andy Farrell will pick for the Irish team. So, there's players there this week. They travel away to Treviso to play in the Urban Challenge Cup. It's a big game for them. The last game they lost out to Newcastle in this competition, and that's the reason that they have an away draw, which was unfortunate. But Treviso will be a very strong side. They have up on 10 of the Italian internationals playing with them. So Connacht would really want to be on the game. Now Connacht will welcome back a number of the internationals as well into their squad, and good to see Bundyaki and that they're back in the squad as well. So they're all to look forward to. Ulster and Leinster. Ulster came away with a very good win at the weekend. Munster were very disappointing. losing out against Glasgow, and Leinster again had a very strong game against the Stormers from South Africa, a game that ended all square. Now, I suppose that Leinster were minus all their internationals, so it could be nearly a second and third string of a team that Leinster put out. So, and they were very strong with a lot of South African internationals in the team. So it was a good result for Leinster, but they're way ahead in the table at the top of the table at the moment. So there's a big encounter there for in the Aviva on Saturday evening between Leinster and Ulster. They play in the Champions Cup game, and that will be a big game. It's a big sellout in the Aviva Stadium on Saturday evening. So again, a lot of people will be glued to the television and to see how that game goes on at the weekend.
That's it. So plenty of rugby on the TV for rugby fans over the weekend, and I suppose just looking at Connacht as well, because it would be our local team there, and I suppose when you look at the likes of, you just mentioned there, Caelan Blade getting the hat trick of tries, the likes of Jack Carty and all that, players like kind of that were in the Ireland team in the past. Is there enough games left in this season for them to try and get into Andy Farrell's thought, or is it kind of coming too late for them, not having enough matches so that they can maybe get into Andy's thoughts?
No, well, you see, the thing with rugby is that there's a lot of rugby yet to play between the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup, and you'll see there that there's a and there's danger there is that some players will get injured, and that will open it up for other players. So again, there's no doubt that some players have an opportunity to get in. Caelan Blade would be an obvious one that I would see that would be chopping at the bit there to get his place. So he's as good in my book as what's there. To get at least the third choice scrum half would be a great achievement for him. To join the likes of Mark Hansen and Bundy Aki and Phil Meelan. So that's the way it is. There may be others, but as I said, the time may be running out for other players as well. And the Jack Carty and Dennis Buckley are still sidelined with injury. Not sure whether they'll pass the fitness test for this weekend yet.
And of course, another kind of a local man as well. I know he plays for Leinster, Luke Henshaw. The way he's playing and the way he played in the Six Nations there in a few of the games, he should be definitely part of the plans anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about it that Henshaw has galvanized his position. He came back from injury, and it looked that he was playing rugby all the time. He had an outstanding game against England.
That's it. And I suppose moving on finally to the Women's Six Nations. Obviously, the men's team had a very successful Six Nations as well, and I suppose those players are back to their clubs now as well. And so it's now turning the attention to, quite rightly, the women. It's time for them to shine now and get their opportunity to shine. And they were away to Wales.
Yeah, away to Wales. He travelled to Wales. In Cardiff with a very young team, a lot of new caps, players there for the first time. So again, they came up against a very organised Wales team that have been together for some time, and that's the difficulty that the coach and management will now have, that he's blended a new team together. They haven't the same experience as other teams in the group, so they they definitely were outclassed in the set pieces. They were a very strong side, Wales. This weekend is going to be very difficult for them in Cork as well, as they're coming up against a very strong French side. So a lot of work needs to be done at that level, and probably a higher standard of rugby, and maybe that players coming through the AIL, maybe the AIL system for a lot of these players isn't high enough. That there's 7 or 8 players of the current international team playing in the Premiership in England on a weekly basis to try and improve their game. So maybe that's that we have to look at that structure, and it is different in the women's structure than the men's structure, and maybe that we need to pool more maybe interventions or the top players and that there together and have more games to bring them up to speed.
That's it, and that would be great. And I think you mentioned last week as well that from the point of view we're missing a lot of players as well who are playing sevens as well. That can be a draw, and maybe some of them are players that maybe could have made a difference maybe against Wales, or could make a difference against France. If we're missing them, that's a pity, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, because they're normally sevens players are normally good, more backs than forwards, but they're if they get the ball, they're probably some experienced players there at sevens level. But unfortunately, that it's up front that we're suffering at the present time, and we need to get to have a serious look at the overall forwards and see can we get players or improve on the situation, or coming up against very strong, nearly professional sides of both France and England. It is going to be very tough for a lot of them young girls.
That's it. Well, we'd like to wish the Ireland team all the best against France this weekend, against a very tough France, like you were just saying. So, and finally, we have to mention a very special function that's coming up. The Craig's dinner dance.
Yeah, Easter Saturday, the 8th of April, which is Saturday week. It's just coming on top of us. So it's a great occasion. It'll be a great occasion to celebrate the 2 cups and the presentation of medals and all to the 2 teams, both our first and to our second team, and also that there's a lot of other awards for to be given out on the night as well. So again, we will have Mary Healy, the captain of Connacht's women's rugby team, present. We'll have Pádraig Moran, president of Connacht, John Carr, chairman of competitions committee, Sue Carty, she's Craig's player from Castlereagh, but now is on the IRFU committee and also on World Rugby. So again, there's a good lineup of guests and there, and people are really looking forward to it. It's from what I'm told, it's nearly a sellout at this stage.
That's great. That's great to hear, and of course. And of course, it's going to be a great night, and a night you're going to enjoy yourself as well. So we'd like to wish everyone a great night on the night, and well done to Craig's on a successful season. And of course, this weekend, they still have another match to look forward to. So listen, thanks very much for taking the time out, Adrian, to do Rugby View, and we look forward to doing it all again next week.
Thank you, Aidan.
No problem. Hopefully we'll have a win for Craig's to report for their a win in the playoff or whatever. So we'll talk to you next week. So thanks very much. And that was Adrian Leddy from Craig's Rugby doing all things rugby.